even though there's going to be a little bit more likely for some teams than other, if you don't come into this tournament expecting first, you may as well not be playing at all.
Yeah, it's a good point, and we see that FaZe United match, and I'm pretty sure that FaZe Clan have got a lot of European fans that have come on board overnight hoping that they can get the W, and we'll have to follow that story very, very closely. But our eyes do turn now to Sentinels against G2, and with the way Sentinels were playing yesterday, they usually start slow in pool play. Dan, talk to me about the series layout. What are you seeing from it?
Well, so Sentinels and G2 matched up against each other in Orlando. It was in pool play. It was a 3-0 for Sentinels. The only game type that features from that series is that game number 5, Slayer Aquarius, and it was a very comfortable one indeed. It was 50-41 in favor of Sentinels, but I don't think we're gonna get that far. I think CTF Bazaar is going to be the main outlier here. That's going to be G2's best opportunity at getting a map against former world champion Sentinels. But at the same time, with how G2 have been playing in this event, they've shown far more promise than they had done at Orlando. They seem to be more well-drilled, they seem to be more well-practiced, and I'm excited to see what they do.
And with good reason you speak about Bazaar CTF and how that is their best opportunity, because when looking at these matchups, when looking at these game types and map mode combinations, they scrimmed each other recently. The scrim did finish 13-4 in favor of Sentinels. And in this best of 5 that we have, Bazaar CTF is the only game type they won, and it was 3-2. So not convincing, it was very close. And we talked to Barcode in the hotel just before we came out here today, and he said there was a lot of those games that were very, very close, but Sentinels just edged them. So they're probably quietly confident here that they adjust a few things on the fly here, they could maybe get the job done.
Yeah, and speaking to Snakebite, he says how a series layout really can define a series and how it is going to affect things, and you never know when a Bazaar CTF turns up or a Catalyst Slayer turns up. You've got to be careful, so Sentinels need to be at the very top of their game to ensure they can progress.
Well, when these two teams played oddball just a couple of days ago, it finished 290 to Sentinels. Can G2 alter that here and do it on LAN? And that's a big opening for Sabinator as he picks up a double kill. And we see trades going back and forth, with all 4 dead for Sentinels. The perfect start for G2 Esports.
Can they get a setup though? Very quick off the block was Sentinels. When they spawned, get some grenades down to try and stop that ball from being easily picked up. But Straight Stick quickly getting it and somehow staying alive. Maybe just some early morning jitters for some of the Sentinels players, not hitting the shots that they perhaps would do previously. But some nice early time here for G2.
Lethal in a 1v1 on pipes, doesn't manage to get the trade, does Straight Stick. Lethal comes out on top, he does get picked in the back though as he tries to play that ball. Unfortunately, he wasn't able to cover the distance and throw it out over the bat ledge. Gilkey now patrolling bottom elevator. Snakebite picks up 2 elsewhere. Frosty not long left for the world. Barcode and Sabinator will have to watch the teammates do some heavy lifting here. Snakebite in a 1v1, he comes out on top, and now Snakebite starting to hit those shots.
And Snakebite is going to be the Sentinels player who kind of leads the charge for objective play, for especially ball games anyway. His rotations have always been on point. He was the leading player in terms of ball time being held in Orlando. Not so far behind was Lethal as well, but Snakebite usually seems to be the player they try and get holding that ball, just because his knowledge of how to rotate seems to be so excellent.
He's taking that responsibility once more, ball in hand. Top control, drops it off to a teammate who's a little bit weaker from the previous fight. Gilkey down to no shields, tries to throw a grenade on the way out. Unfortunately, doesn't connect with anybody this time around. 24 seconds now. Sentinels have achieved here, and it's still climbing. They're pulling away from G2 Esports. Lethal's got that shock rifle, trying to connect with Gilkey, who's dipping and diving, and he's doing a little bit of duckage, and it's working for him right now.
G2 really just need to prioritize getting a little bit of map control here. They have been able to dive on that camouflage. Straight Stick still alive at the moment. If he can escape, he might be able to sneak behind and get something on this ball. Gilkey, though, has actually found a nice little flank here, and because of it, Royal2 had to play that ball. Barcode gets a kill, and Barcode showing exactly why he has been such a promising addition to this G2 roster. His slaying power has been excellent, and he's always in the right place at the right time.
Snakebite has eyes on the ball, but Straight Six found a little pocket of space, a little window to scoop it up and pass it over, but unfortunately, 2 members of Sentinels go down, so this push is going to be very difficult for Snakebite, and perhaps he has to give it up and sacrifice a few seconds here in aid of getting a much better push. Here comes Snakebite then, bottom elevator, Sabinator drops down, he gets forced, pushed up against the wall, and ultimately it ends in a trade, but 3 dead for G2 Esports. Sentinels getting the better of that current engagement.
Barcode, last remaining player, statistically is the most likely player to kill a ball carrier on the G2 side, and actually by quite a large margin from G2. It seems like he's always that guy that gets in the position to eliminate the ball carrier, whether that be straight away or whether that be last. It doesn't matter, he seems to always be there. Unfortunately gets kind of caught on the ledge there, couldn't dip down. He might have been able to survive a little bit longer. 4 dead for G2 once more, and Sentinels seem to have a pretty strong setup right now.
Shock rifle in the hands of Frosty. That spells bad news, no matter what way you cut it. Straight Sick has backed down him as he was about to line up Sabinator. A couple of grenades being thrown in towards Bat Ledge, but won't connect with Frosty here, and you can see waiting for Gilkey to overstep the mark. He slid in. Will Frosty be able to find the face in the end? Doesn't need to. Killing spree for the Snowman. Now down to bottom yellow stairs. With Barcode trying to escape up Bat Ledge, done so successfully, playing his life for now at the very least. Communication will be coming through all the while. 2 members of G2 positioned in pipes. Frosty doesn't find the headshot, doesn't find much damage at all, but there's a player on hand to get that kill, but Royal 2 will ultimately get traded out. 3 dead for G2, 3 dead. It's all 4 dead for both teams.
Frosty the first to spawn. He can really dictate the pace of where you want to go, where you want to force your enemy to try and push it. I love this play though. He recognized that where he was going to be spawning, so you get a good idea of where the enemy's going to be spawning as well. So he plays a little bit of a flank, gets the initial kill, will get traded out in the end. But now with a 2-on-2 situation, Royal 2's found himself a camouflage. And this is probably going to spell bad news for G2.
2 dead apiece. Royal 2 will grapple that shock rifle towards himself with the cover of the cloak. What can he do to make a little incision here into G2? We're playing this one rather slowly. Straight Six firing a couple of shots, but unfortunately Sabinator spotted him out. A melee will pop the shield, and Royal 2 not able to get much value out of that camouflage, but luckily Snakebite on hand to put a double kill on the board. And Gilkey, last man standing over towards bottom elevator. Grenade will do the job, will do the damage, along with Lethal. And 82 seconds in climbing. This is starting to get out of hand for G2. Round 1 is in danger of an L.
Yeah, round 1 slipping through their fingers now a little bit. Could argue maybe it was never really within their grasp. It's just that impressive start, but Snakebite, another double kill. Could actually make it more. Could have been a triple if the players had actually allowed it to happen, but at 94 seconds, it's only 6 more points required. Snakebite still patrolling the map in a very dominant fashion. Eventually will fall, but now the rotation comes away from G2. Barcode, though, still sticking with those ball carrier stats, but unfortunately it just comes to nothing as Royal 2 is able to clean things up.
Royal 2 tried to scoop up the ball and get those last remaining 5 seconds. Sabinator ensures the game, indeed the round will go on just a little bit longer here. This player comes up the stairs down to what can be described as no shield or very little at all. Sabinator in pipes. Starting to score some significant points now, 25 seconds to be exact. And it's climbing. But this setup has to be nigh on perfect if they're going to see some success in round 1. All 4 members of Sentinel still surviving, and Straight Six been the first pick here in the opener. Traded with Frosty. 3v3 on the map, and you can see Sabinator not too comfortable in his surroundings. Barcode is trying to patrol and control over towards Whirlpool, but unfortunately for him, he has gone down. Straight Sick on double stack. Royal 2 will connect, but it's only to the body. And that'll do some damage, but not enough to get the kill. Frosty on hand to get that assist, though. And here comes the push now into yellow pipe. Sabinator goes down, overextends just a touch. Gilkey tries to escape. Unfortunately for him, not far enough. Royal 2 will get that double kill before he can round the corner. Shock rifle in hand now. Barcode just tucks in behind the wall, and Royal 2 starting to cook. 3 in a row. Lines up Straight Sick, but doesn't get the chance to fire.
Round 1 eventually will go in favor of Sentinels. I couldn't make out a Sentinels player there, if I'm honest, but I can assure you they are there. They are playing. But in the end, it was pretty comfortable. G2 had a little spell at the end. I think your best chance is when Sab does have that ball. He has been that objective player for G2, but he's the guy who's been getting the kills as well, as Royal 2 just adds an extra couple of bullets there, just to let Barcode know who's really the boss here.
Making sure the Aussie man stays down under, perhaps. Royal 2 putting a couple of extra bullets in to the man like Barcode. Straight Sick up the stairs. Going to be a trade this time, but it's favoured Sentinels, at least in numbers. Lethal over towards bottom elevator, clears his lockers, nothing there, nothing doing. Picks up a couple of plasma grenades and sliding and moving, head on a swivel, looking for information, waiting for communication. And at the moment, not needing to do too much damage, but unfortunately for him, Frosty and Snakebite have fallen around them. Ball in hands. Barcode and Co have no idea Lethal's here. It's very important that he gets this kill. He doesn't get the pick that's required. And then perhaps an opportunity for G2 to grow this lead.
That was a series of unfortunate events there for Lethal. That could have been perfect. A double kill was very likely if he hits one of those grenades, but he also was checking every angle, checking every corner, but every time he turned a corner, there was a player just disappearing around the wall. But now G2 have got the setup. G2 have got the ball. Sab has the shock rifle as well, so they've got to be careful. Snakebite just tries to pin him back. Now that information can be relayed. Sab is known to be in pipes, and Sentinels will want to take that shock rifle off him. Royal 2's going to challenge, but Royal 2 gets the beat down onto him. Unfortunately, it's not quite enough.
Ball in hands for Sentinels. Numbers advantage here for G2. Frosty's making this a very difficult task for Sabinator to escape with the shock rifle, and ultimately he doesn't. Lethal tries to get the ball over towards Blue with the opportunity to play it. Unfortunately, brings it straight to Gilkey, and 1v1 with Royal 2 is going straight in for the trade. Straight Six got the ball, and now they have the opportunity to play it if need be. This is far better from G2 in round 2.
Yeah, it really is, and sometimes all it takes is that one setup when you do have the kind of shock rifle just to watch across the map and put fear in your enemy's eyes, to be honest. But Straight Six now will get sent off the map. He was already playing the ball anyway, but arguably maybe played it a little bit too late. And now because of it, G2 are going to find themselves a couple of players down here. Sentinels have got the chance to really run rings around them when it comes to the areas they're playing, but that's better from Straight Six.
Snakebite was feeling that fight. Almost shut Straight Six down, but they do have the information of exactly where that player is positioned now. And Lethal with that info, the call has come to move the ball towards pipes, and you can see why. Frosty's got camouflage. Frosty's got the information, and he shocks barcode when it was only a pixel, it was only a window, and he still managed to find that face. Now still patrolling. Camo has dissipated, but the damage has been done. They've gotten the opening pick that they needed in that engagement. 49 seconds to 25. Sentinel starting to close that gap.
Yeah, for all I talk about, you know, who's holding the ball, who's managing to kill the ball carriers. Frosty has and always will be that main slayer for Sentinels. He's the one who does the damage as well, but unfortunately can't stay alive longer than just a couple of kills with that shock rifle. And it means that this still is a little bit of a scrappy round at the moment. Sentinels haven't been able to get into that solid setup state. And as for G2 on the other side, they still hold the lead right now.
They hold the lead. And how will they navigate these next following moments? Let's have an Astro listen in and find out.
Heard that.
I hear that. I'm gonna be long on me. I'm gonna go long on me.
We went back in 10.
Roll 2, roll 2.
Yeah, take him ball back to red, guys.
Both one, both one.
Got him, do that.
I'm dead, both one.
Yeah, hit that. I'm pushing over.
I've helped Sab.
Yeah, hit that. I'm pushing with you,
one
Chris.
here. I can't move.
He's half shields with ball. Back to you, Chris. Half shields.
15 camo.
Where's he?
Yeah, I'm looking.
He's on
Snipers up.
There's guy made needles, half shields.
A is open, guys.
Oh my god, killed him.
A is open.
Yeah, repulse, here, repulse. I'm holding gay, I'm holding gay.
Repost, kill me.
Yeah,
5 seconds camo.
Yeah, hit that. I'm holding top A.
I don't know if we can. There's
Snipers down now.
Yeah, his stacks. His stacks. I can push top tier. I'm top tier. Yeah, that's
Absolutely.
He's gonna die dead. Yeah, there's guy Mango up here.
Needles, on camera.
He's one shot. Grapple.
R1 went in.
He's one shot.
One shot R1. Watch the A split. Watch the A split.
Yeah, mid-bridge on
Hit that.
Watch that stacks. Watch that
Yeah,
stacks.
he's gonna die. Dead.
I got ball.
Nice.
Top me cross. Top me cross.
I've got camera guys. I have just popped it.
Every time.
Yeah.
Repulse back.
Yeah, on turbine. There's a guy turbine right now. I'm getting shot from bottom mid, guys. I'm gonna die, bro. There's a guy
Needles weak.
turbine as well.
R1
Yeah, he's flying out battery.
Top red.
Yeah, he's top red. I threw ball out. It's fine.
Nice, just
I put that game on glass.
Guys, they're gonna push me out.
Yeah.
Yo, one is glass now. Glass
That's one day. I'm looking. Yeah, hit tower. Nice.
I'm gonna play tower.
Yeah, he's sniping top red as well.
Make sure we can also go bottom
battle
mid.
edge,
We
he's
can
half
extra guy
shield
on top
battle edge,
left.
yeah.
Think glass heavy.
I'm moving.
Guys, I'm bottom mid.
Nice,
Bottom mid win for you guys.
I'm here, Chris. I'm here. Watch out, battle edge sniper.
Both one.
Yeah.
Three glass,
I'm with you, Chris. They're rotating.
Pipes with one shot sniping.
Yeah, hit that. I'm pushing red
They're
stairs
gonna be
right now.
splitting A now.
I'm behind you right there.
Hit that.
Glass, guys.
He's half shields with Paul. Nice, Chris.
Nice shot.
Watch out for
Yeah, there's another guy here. Yeah, red pipes.
One shot long goal. One shot jumping glass.
Good one.
One shot glass.
Watching the push. I don't see him. Three dead.
Top red. One shot.
Yeah, that.
Get ball after that.
Oh my, absolute nice. Holy shit. Nice, we did.
Lethals up.
Yeah, just slip.
I hear that. I'm gonna try to get to the pipes.
Okay. Still 2 dead.
Bottom mid, I think. I heard him. Watch the camera jump.
Comms a little bit chaotic, a little bit frantic. They were thriving in it for a moment, but Sentinels have retaken that lead. What can G2 do now to respond? I'll tell you something we've seen was Barcode almost getting himself an overkill. And if he can start heating up, if he can start hitting those shots, he's already put on a decent performance so far here with 22 kills, 10 assists, and 21 deaths. They're right in this round.
And I don't think we have to ask the question of, is Barcode going to fit in North American Halo anymore? Because it's quite clear that he is living up to the hype that was around his name. 22 kills at the moment, almost taking down every member of Sentinels in that passenger plane. 1 minute on the clock. Sentinels still with the lead. G2 need this round to just try and tie it up and take us further into this map number 1. Otherwise, Sentinels will be 1-0 in the series. Sad patrolling, roaming, getting shots down, but Lethal happy to challenge. And now Sentinels, they just need to kind of cover this ball. It's G2 who have to try and make something here.
I'm thinking of making something. It was Frosty who picked up the camouflage. Has he been able to get away with it? Yes, he has. How influential will this camouflage be? 38 seconds on the clock, and very quickly are they running out of time. 3 deads though. Frosty's the most dangerous man on the map right now. They've spotted him out. That grenade just giving up his position for the moment. Gilkey slides out. You can see he's trying to chase shadows. The sticky grenade will come through, but damage has been negated for a moment. Sabernator, a couple of shock rifle shots onto Lethal, sitting on double stack. This round is separated by just 2 seconds. The problem is 20 seconds, very closely contested. This barcode goes down. This is the opportunity for Lethal now. Play has come. He's gonna hold the ball over towards lockers, keep it nice and safe, nice and snug, put it down to sleep. Can they put G2 to sleep here in game number 1? Sabernator tries desperately to get through that door, but unfortunately for him, not enough shields to make a real fist of it. And Lethal just nursing this ball all the way, and it's gonna be Sentinels who win game number 1. A very decent performance.
And I cannot stress enough how important that sticky grenade was from Frosty. When he had that camouflage, he saw his teammates go down. He knew full well he couldn't just bide his time and try and walk towards pipes there. He had to make his presence known, because otherwise the ball would have got so far away they could have got set up properly. And that trade onto Gilkey meant sure that his teammates off spawn were in an even number. It's 3 versus 3. It wasn't going to be a 3 versus 4, for example. Otherwise, G2 may have won that round. So important from Frosty to play in that way.
And it's a very similar story to what Barcode spoke about in scrims, how those little moments in time where they're in the game, they seem to get away from them. It's Sentinels who are clutching up in those times. It's going to be Frosty. It's going to be Snakebite. That this team can pop off at any given time. And Barcode, got that triple kill, opened the door for the opportunity in round 2. But ultimately, round 1 was a bit of a stomping for Sentinels. It was comfortable. Round 2 a little less so, but they still got the job done in the 2-0.
I think G2 started to realize where Sentinels wanted to set up, though, with ball. And Sentinels were trying to prioritize certain areas. They were trying to hold it in pipes quite often. So G2 were like, well, if we just send one player down long haul whilst we're distracting them from turbine area, we can get a pick and then we can get a push. And it was far more successful there in round number 2 for them. But unfortunately, again, like it is for so many of these lower seeded teams, excuse me, it's so close, but so far.
Game 1 then. The ink has dried. 2-0 in oddball recharge. And as we head into game 2, and as Dan tries to iron his shirt off camera,
surely it's gonna, the creases are gonna fall out.
They're not falling. They're there for that's a permanent thing now. You're done. Slayer Streets is next though, Dan. And in scrims, this one went in favor of Sentinels. 50-38 to be exact. This scrim was only a couple of days ago, so is that something that we can look into? But you spoke about how scrims don't always tell the full picture and how teams aren't always playing to the best of their ability. They're trying new things. Is that something that we can maybe say that G2 have a surprise up their sleeve?
It's interesting because right at the start of this season, when Rally was on the horizon, scrim results directly correlated with how players and teams were playing at tournaments. Like, it was clear which were their best game types, which were their worst game types. But as the season has progressed, it's almost become an opposite. Their better scrims have been actually their worst games, and their worst scrims have been their best games. And it's almost like they are just trying out different strategies. It's almost like they are trying to hold on to little secrets. So who knows? Maybe G2 have something up their sleeve. What I will say is both these teams went 0-2 in Street Slayer in Orlando, so it's not the best game type for either of them.
Perhaps an opportunity for G2 then. And you spoke about how important it is for map number 3 for G2 to win. They have the potential, they've won it before. So if they can just pip this Slayer, then perhaps the series can tip the balance in their favor. Opening slays favor G2 for the moment, 2-1. Rockets have been scooped up. Bulldog and indeed rockets in the hands of the Sentinels lads. One fired across the map. It's going to connect over towards benches. The damage was done. Royal 2 was able to clean up the pieces on that side of the map. Snakebite manages to just avoid shooting his own teammate, fire it towards the ledge. 2 members of G2 soar out towards the Rockets player, and you would think they had that information.
And how did both players of Sentinels survive? They just managed to avoid the rocket damage. Someone managed to shield the other, maybe with a forearm ever so slightly. This armor really is doing its job. Straight Sick going to be the next player on the chopping board. It's 9-2. It's a bit of a battering in the early stages. G2 need to try and slow down this pressure that Sentinels are applying at the moment.
Worst possible start. They're going to need a set of rockets, you would think, to get themselves back into this game. At least a couple of clean wipes, at the very least. Grenade, though, spike grenade, does so much damage. Pickley were going to throw 2 of them with that information that he had. And unfortunately, still the Slaves are going against them. Still, you can see G2, they're separated. And at the moment, Sentinels are just carving them apart.
If you've ever been on the receiving end of playing against a better team than you on Street Slayer, it is not a comfortable experience whatsoever. It seems like whichever avenue you try and take, there's always an answer. And that seems to be what's happening to G2 at the moment. They need to band up, they need to make a decision together. Gilkey gets 3 shot. Snakebites on a 5-peat in the moment. Killing spree, easy as that, 15-4. He's eventually going to go down, but is the damage already done? It's 11 kill lead, Shurs. And even though I've seen comebacks, you'd imagine that surely Sentinels would never even throw anything like a lead like this away.
Gilkey currently sitting at 0-1-5, not had the best of starts. And at the moment, this game is looking a little bit like whack-a-mole. Every single time G2 expose themselves, they step up to put a couple of shots down, they're getting absolutely clobbered. Score 19-6. Sabernair doesn't even get that back whack, and somehow, some way, the Snowman sticks a grenade to him. And when kills like that are going against you, you just think to yourself, what else could possibly go wrong? And I can tell you, even more slays. AR in the back pocket, another trade, but this is only helping Sentinel's cause.
Every time you go to a new Sentinels POV, it's a Bulldog, it's rockets, it's Stalker rifle, it's all the goodies. Christmas has come early, it would seem. Unfortunately for G2, they are closer to Halloween right now. Down by 15. You need your big players to step up. Gilkey is often the player who is going to be the one to watch when it comes to slaying ability on G2, as well as Barcode. Straight Sick, your more support player. Sav, your more support objective player. But they've got to help Gilkey and Barcode get those kills. And at the moment, every time off spawn, G2 are just being battered by Sentinels.
And whether we're close enough to Halloween, whether they've chosen Trick, but we're being treated here to a Sentinels clinic. And it's spooky, it's scary, because if they can make a team like G2 who finish top 6 at Orlando look this average at the moment, how scary is that, not only for the rest of this series, but for any team looking over their shoulder?
And you got to remember, Sentinels were like, what, 1 kill away from being top 6 themselves? Even further, when they were going up against G1, like, it seems like Sentinels are a lot more locked in at this tournament than they were at Orlando. It was a very disappointing finish for them. They know that, and I think all fans know that as well. It's not where they would have wanted to position themselves and place whatsoever. They want first, nothing short of it. And they are World Championship contenders. Look at the names on that roster. It's hard to look past Sentinels and what they've achieved in their history. It's also hard to look past how well other teams have been playing in recent times. So when you are going up against a team like G2 Esports, I think you have to perform like this. You have to dominate. You have to show why you are World Championship contenders.
What I'm seeing here is shades of Tox. Ruthless. Lethal. At every turn.
I thought you were naming players.
No, I did. The second one just happened to correlate.
Okay.
That was an accident. I'll try not to do that again, or I might not, but I'll just do it more. Barcode, bottom middle. Will get the help from Gilkey, but this help has not come quick enough. And these slays have gotten away from them. The lead is almost double, and we're in real stake territory. And I don't think it matters whether you like it medium rare, dry, well done,
Dry?
blue. No pepper sauce.
I've never heard anyone go to a restaurant and say, I'll have my steak dry,
Give us a
please. Although I have seen some well-done steaks that were pretty dry, so... Anyway, 43-24. Lethal's more than happy to take that fight. Barcode is against the world at the moment. Snakebite gets his shields back, and unfortunately, even though Straight Sick came to the assistance, it was a little bit too late. 5 kills remaining for Sentinels. This one's done, it's over, we know it. It's just a matter of when now. And is it going to be that steak dinner you spoke of?
The two-time world champions are really starting to find form. What a scary sentiment that could be. Royal 2, 17 kills. Snakebite, the captain, with 16. They're rolling already. And perhaps they're looking already towards those top dogs, the Cloud9s and the Sentinels of the world. And game 2 will go the way of the boys in red and white. Sentinels are 2 to the good.
And it is a stake. That's not going to do much confidence for G2. Although I know that, you know, teams like this, when you're going up against a team like Sentinels, you are always going to be thinking about the elimination bracket. It's inevitable. Like, as a player, it's always going to be in the back of your mind where you think, well, if we do lose to Sentinels, we'll probably play X, Y, or Z. And unfortunately, that is just a kind of a defeated mentality. And you need to be actually saying, well, if we beat Sentinels, we're playing Optic Gaming. That's the better way to approach these things. But unfortunately, when you're going up against 2-time world champions, you're going up against some of the best players ever to grace Halo games, it's hard to keep your mentals.
It's not even the fact that we're playing against 2-time world champions, but at the moment, like, they've already won Kansas City. And of course, Orlando was a little bit off the pace for them, but they admit they thought they played pretty well. It's just some of the game types went against them, and maybe if the series layout favors them in Orlando,
they got Cloud9 in Orlando, all right? Everyone knows
they got
it.
ecoed.
They got ecoed.
But looking at the stats, 50-26. Oh my word. And Frosty, who was normally the top fragger, didn't even need to because the rest of the team were pulling the slack. Snakebite with 16, Royal 2, like we said, 17 kills, and Lethal, he was up there in the double digits as well with 10. And for G2, it's back to the drawing board, but we have now made it to Bizarre CTF, which you said is their best chance of getting themselves into this series.
It is their best chance, but unfortunately after that,
No, Dan, tell me good stuff.
I sneezed, bless me. But I do think that Bizarre Capture the Flag is one of these game types where some of the top teams aren't playing it that much, right? We saw Cloud9 struggle on it a little bit yesterday. I've heard they don't like to practice it, we're not going to play it, and I think that some of these top teams just avoid it in general because they don't like it. But it's like, guys, it's all well and good not liking a game type, but what happens if it comes up in a final?
Well, what if everybody decides we're not going to play Bizarre CTF? That's an even playing field, right?
Then everyone's going to be bad at it.
Yeah, but isn't that exciting?
Not really. I want teams to be practiced. I want to see teams try and come up with something new, innovative. The way E-United play Bizarre, okay, it's not pretty.
No,
right?
it's not.
They'll go 1-0 up and then they will literally just set up a barricade in the middle of the map, but it's effective. So someone's got to work out a way of how you defeat that. How do you beat that? And maybe, just maybe, we'll learn more as this tournament goes on with how people are going to approach Bizarre CTF. But as for G2, well, let's hope they've got a miracle. Let's hope they've got something up their sleeves.
And the issue for me is when I'm looking at the Sentinels roster, normally you're hoping if you're G2 that some of those players have a little bit of a slower start. But we're seeing all 4 of those players pulling in the same direction, singing from the same hymn sheet. And that is a scary thought because G2 must have been praying that this team come out cold today.
And unfortunately, that's just not a good way to come into a series as well, like hoping a team is cold. Like, again, it's so tough. The tier difference between the top teams and kind of the top 6 and below is such a big gap at times that it does just result in these very one-sided matches. That Slayer was difficult to watch. You've got to feel for the guys who are on the G2 squad when you're getting battered by that. But you can put it all behind you. You can forget about it if you can take a 1-cap lead here in Bizarre Capture the Flag, regain that confidence, regain that belief, and say, look, we can get back into this series. All it takes is capturing some bloody flags.
Well, the gap between these two teams in this series feels big enough that I could fall into. And I can tell you, I'm a pretty round man. Frosty gets a double kill to open us up, but he's lost 2 teammates in the process, and indeed the overshield, and perhaps an opportunity. Gilkey immediately trying to put the pressure on, but Lethal had that plasma pistol waiting. He had the trap set.
That's Lethal all over, isn't it? Just waiting in the wings to kill the most important player on the map. Very effective is Lethal in those kind of areas, but 3 members are down for Sentinels.
Barcode hasn't died yet. Frosty will put away his teammate though. Put him to sleep for the next 7 seconds or so. Barcode will register his first death, but he did manage to make it all the way into Snakebite's home base. Now as he pushes out, picked up the thruster pack to go along with it. Taking a backward step, Bulldog in the hand now too. What can they do? Looking to set up defense, knowing there's players around them. Gilkey's in trouble here. That's a snake of Slytherin. Ultimately, he wasn't required. Lethal was able to handle them all by himself, all by his lonesome, winning his ones. Snakebite top rockets now. Barcode over towards the Sizzles. Ultimately, the Barcode will be taken care of. Straight Stick could follow him very quickly, and yes, he does. Reversal. Gilkey will answer back though to ensure this remains a 2v2 on the map for the moment. Both members of G2 set up well over the halfway point, with Sabonair got control of the enemy. Oh, I tell you, he dropped down at the worst possible time with those spiker grenades were coming towards him. He was out of the frying pan into the fire. It didn't matter what decision he made, he was going down. Snakebite drops down, and to his death.
You can see why this map can sometimes be awkward to navigate. If you try and push over towards truck side, there's so much visibility from the rocket side. If you try and go down through the tunnel, you leave your teammates, unfortunately, in a 3 versus 4 at times. Overshield is going to be popping. It will get grappled away by a G2 member. Can they pop it into their chest, though? It doesn't look like they have been able to do. And there might be a little bit of a wrestle for that overshield, unless Gilkey's been able to pick it up, because he was hiding behind that corner. Frosty didn't spot him out. Yes, Gilkey did get the overshield. Unfortunately, loses it very quickly.
Oh!
And Gilkey's overshield comes to nothing, because again, Lethal, the destroyer of all shields, was there.
Gilkey goes down, and he wasn't yelling timber this time. Lethal somehow, with the movement, with the schmovement, put the brakes on, put the strafe on, fires that overshield with the help of a teammate and a couple of nice grenades. Sizzle stick goes in. That's what we call an information grenade, to see if there's anybody in there to get the ticks, but Sabonair pushes out, gets those kills. All 4 dead now for Sentinels, and an opportunity for G2 to put the pressure on.
You can already see this is a much closer game type between these two teams. I did say that Street Slayer was a bad game type for both, but it seems like Sentinels have improved a little bit since Orlando. Whereas G2, they hadn't really found the success. Whereas here on Bazaar Capture the Flag, they look pretty even. Slays are going well for them. They're managing to get overshields, they're managing to get rockets, just haven't been able to get those pushes so far to give them that opportunity to pull a flag. In fact, have we seen a flag been pulled yet?
No, we haven't.
No, we have not, and we are almost 4 minutes into this game.
That could be about to change, though. 2 kills going in favor of G2, but unfortunately, Gilkey falls at not the best time in the world. Sabonair, though, is threatening to pull a flag here, pushing out beyond his teammate, and we do finally get the first flag grab, but will it result in the first flag capture? 2 members of Sentinels go down. This is better from G2. Lethal's all alone in the market. Over towards the fruit now as he pushes through the double doors. Throws 1 grenade over towards that flag carrier. Will not get the damage required. Sabonair with the Bulldog does enough from distance. It was scary for a moment. Barcode now juggling it all the way home. Gilkey gets a kill. 2 dead for Sentinels. It's an opportunity. Gilkey doing work as Barcode punches one in. Much, much better. G2 take the lead.
100% of flag runs have been scored in this game, and now G2, is that going to give them the belief that they need to get back into this series? Bazaar CTF often can be the outlier, can be that opportunity, but Frosty gives Barcode the wiggles. He scans him on the checkout and says, I need some assistance, please show me some ID. No, thank you, and sends him out of the bar.
Well, Sentinels down in the game, down in the slays. Let's have an Astro listen in to see how the comms are acting out.
Alright, all good. Plenty of time. Top Rocket's gonna drop on you. Sab with Shoddy. Our trench behind you. There's 3.
I think
There might be 3. Might be 3.
Shoddy, 2 weak, Shoddy, 2 weak, Shoddy. Yo, we can go out mid here. Yeah, come on mid. There's 2 in shot. There's really sucks. Leave these in.
Walking mid.
Our closet.
Yeah, kill the closet if we can.
Any nades for him?
No, I don't have any. He's...
Top rockets, guys. One top rockets, barcode. Dude,
There's 2
one
top rockets.
barcode. Our side top extra.
Yeah, and their
I
side.
can't see him.
It's
Still there. Just hiding.
Getting double shots.
Our pillars.
Yeah.
Try to like.
Grappling at me, grappling at me. Doing our beer.
One in your tree.
Looking out.
Sab 1 hit top rockets. Where's flag guy going?
Elbow, behind you.
Jesus
Pretty
Christ,
good.
guys.
Focus on it.
Our elbow.
I can watch it, I can hit it.
Pick up the intensity. I just had a fucking flagpole with no comms. Let's go.
Gilkey go. Okay, it's just gone.
Alright, doubles, guys.
Okay, hiding our flag. Hiding our flag.
Our trench. Weak.
It's gonna be behind you guys, elbow.
Elbow. We have plenty of time to bring this back, but we have to up the fucking intensity.
Shooting
One trench, Gilkey. One trench.
more, guys.
I'm trying to go for that truck. Truck dead.
Watch our pillars, watch our pillars.
Alright, OV and rockets at 30, guys. Everything at 30.
Okay, I'm out market with you.
Just say what you guys want to do.
They're to their elbow holding. To their elbow holding.
I'm going rockets. Alright.
Grapples
Everything
up.
at 20, guys. Everything at 20.
Trying to get grapple.
I'm trying to go top rocket.
I have it.
Yeah, I'm gonna go trench. Trench. We can Shoddy.
Top rocks. One shot, top rocks.
Yeah, they can Shoddy.
Say their
They're
closet.
doubles.
Closet,
Yeah, I
They're
can't see him, I can't
closet.
see
They're
him.
closet.
Rockets at 10, guys. Make sure to play for
Let's shoot that, guys.
They're closet weak.
I'm pushing their closet. I'm pushing.
Yep.
You went tree. I'll get Ovi.
I'm pushing tree.
Rockets as well.
I got him.
Nice kill.
Switch our base, guys.
I'm
Yeah, they're elbow right here. Yeah, by time
And
we're
spawn
getting
their
OV
thrust.
shit.
I'll see
Yeah,
that.
I'm trying to live, trying to live.
He went doubles. Alright, we have OV rockets.
Yeah, I'm going to get rockets, guys.
Gilkey's weak, their flag.
Yeah, buy time for PJ here.
Trying to fight them, Brad. In their thrust.
No doubles. Your doubles still. Straight stick, 1 hit.
It's gonna be there.
I'm walking their tree. Give me a second.
Yo,
Watch out, I have rockets.
He's got combo. That shot.
Tree weak.
What side?
Tree
dead.
dead. The tree, we didn't kill tree.
He's hiding.
Okay.
He's weak.
I'm getting back to
Pull it
our
elbow, pull it elbow.
base.
Okay, good
Call
place.
spawners, call
We're
spawners.
pulling elbow. They're gonna straight 6 up, 2 up. They're
They're already out.
I think it's
Yeah, he's out.
Yeah, I'm hitting him with trench. I'm hitting him with spike.
One air trench. One air top rockets.
Inner flag, inner flag.
I'm going back to our flag, Matt. Worry about the rockets. I'm shooting Matt.
Weaker flag, weaker flag.
Nice.
Killing it.
Yeah, killer flag. Yeah, TJ, I'm here with you. Right, he might be up
He's
top.
weak on our flag.
Doubles, guys, our doubles. Off flank. Our doubles.
Our flag, our flag.
Our flag and doubles.
Doubles,
Okay.
dead, doubles.
Another one. Our elbow.
Their flag.
Our elbow stop. Weak.
Weak to your right.
I've touch.
TJ, you gotta push him.
I've still untouched.
It's your right.
Nice job, guys.
Let's go. Let's bring this back. Let's go.
Come on.
Keep this intensity. Let's go.
I'm out already. I'm out. Come on.
Kill 2 dead.
Shoot over me if you guys can.
They're tree.
Very interesting listening there to Sentinels as they went 2-0 down, and you heard it. Keep up the intensity. Bring this hype up. Why am I not hearing call-outs when the flag's being pulled? Maybe Sentinels just thinking they were going to breeze through this third game. And that they said, look, we can still get back into it. Let's just start kind of playing properly and communicating, say where we're going. And as they do, they find their first capture and they're back into this game.
They threatened to go out with a whimper, going down 0-2. They have answered back, though, very quickly thereafter. You have to appreciate those comms. Keep the intensity up. Why am I hearing no comms when there's a clean flag grab on the run? Royal 2 put shots down. Gilkey has to back away. Grenade threatens to take him out on the backside. Lethal over towards those spike grenades, and Frosty gets him killed onto Barcode. Gilkey's got that bulldog. It's barking away, and ultimately the spike grenade does the damage required. Overshield's going to be the point of contention now. Sabinator slides out. Royal 2 positioned over towards the tree. They have lost one. Snakebite, with the help of the sizzle stick, will take him down. Gilkey isolated now. Down in shields. Now they're down in numbers. Another kill for Frosty. This should mean overshield, and it does mean overshield. Frosty picks it up. Back-to-back overshields without reply. Snakebite got the last one. They got a flag capture. Can we see a similar story play out here?
They had overshield and rockets for their last push. And I really did love that listening as well when they were pulling the flag and they were ensuring they knew where that first spawner was. Are they going to be spawning on the same side as them? It was a clear choice of running at elbow, running the same direction as they're going now. 3 are dead again for G2. Sab, the last remaining player. And unless there's a miracle grenade and some sort of flash push, we're going to be all tied up here. And Sentinels, it did seem like they just needed a kick up the backside. The call came from both Frosty and Snakebite saying, guys, look, wake up. Let's get some comms on the go. And now with 3 minutes left, G2 have thrown away this 2-0 lead.
That kick up the backside came, and it was with steel cap shoes. And now all of a sudden they're clocking in, ready to go to work. Frosty shoots one of those sizzle sticks. It's not something I see very often, but I like it. He now surveys the land. Thinks there's a player bot middle, but there isn't. He's now happy enough to move on. Player underneath him, straight stick, has no idea he's there. Turns around with a grenade, but will not do any damage. Frosty, using guerrilla warfare tactics, gets one, tries to get out. Unfortunately for him, not able to escape. Royal 2 with rockets. Vitling stays alive here, tries to do damage and does so successfully. Gilkey, rocket connects. It's going to be a trade, but that was huge from Royal 2. Sabinator behind enemy lines, just playing a little bit slower now. They were up by 2. Now they find themselves level. Sabinator gets himself out of dodge, not happy to take this 1v1, not backing himself against the former world champion. Royal 2 will get a kill on lockers. It looks as though momentum's just slowly starting to shift. The pendulum slowly swinging back the way of the boys in red. Royal 2 bottom middle, another overshield, back to back to back in quick succession. Sentinels are in the driver's seat now as we head towards the latter stages with 1:49 on the clock.
And unfortunately for G2, they were getting the early overshields, but they were constantly ripped away, both times by Lethal actually. One with the plasma pistol and one with just his sheer game sense and grenades.
His bare hands almost.
Yep, ripped it apart, ripped it off him. And you look at those statistics on your screen, Gilkey having a great game, but Straight Sick struggling a little bit, struggling a tad. He is known to be more of a support player on this roster, but you have to imagine if Straight Sick can start chaining some kills together and help out, G2 still can win this game. Flag is out and on the move, but it probably should be returned here shortly. And with only 1 minute left, we could be going to overtime unless either of these teams can get a pull. And with 3 dead on Sentinels, it could be G2.
Opportunity then. Snakebite. Frosty have gotten 2. It's vital that Sentinels stay alive here. Frosty gets away, and what is Gilkey doing? Chasing that kill up and towards Bart. Not clearing his corners. And is that the error now? Is that opportunity going to go? It appears so for the moment, as now Sentinels have map control. It's going to be a standoff here. Are both teams happy to push this one into overtime? Or will there be a late shake here? A late twist in the tail before we even need to get there. 2 members down bottom middle. Gilkey and Straight Stick combined to get a pick here. Snakebite the last man up. Communication is going to be key for him. Teammate spawns up. It's going to be Frosty. Immediately gets himself involved in the fight. Snakebite pops up. Almost like someone was playing a flute and he came out of a box. Gets that kill. Straight Stick in the bar gets cleared out. There'll be no service this time around, but Sentinels lose the numbers once more. Snakebite's trying to get forward, trying to make moves, but he's not going to have enough time here. We are going to go to overtime after it looked as though G2 were in the driver's seat.
As a famous man once said, OT, OT, there's never much love when we go OT. Not much love between these two teams at the moment. G2 may be a little bit frustrated that they threw away a 2-0 advantage. Sentinels on the flip side, probably a bit frustrated they didn't wake up sooner in this game, because clearly when they are on the same level, when they're communicating, when they are being a little bit more energetic with their call-outs, they have far more success.
Well, I can tell you, G2 need more than just one dance. That's a promise. Royal 2, bottom middle, will be handled. Frosty, though, a rocket hits the ground, and BR hits the face. 4 up for G2. A flag pull now. Are they going to capture a flag very, very quickly in overtime? Slays are going in their favor. Barcode brings it out. Sabonator looking to escort this one all the way home. Gilkey and Straight Stick get kills, both with their bare hands, meleeing and getting close and personal. Lethal tries to get the stop here, doesn't get the kill. Lethal gets 2 kills though. And is that the opportunity?
Wow.
Snakebite soars up. What a double kill from Lethal.
That was bloody incredible from Lethal. If he hadn't have got that, that was game over. It's still going to be tough. Sentinel's still trying to fight tooth and nail to stop this flag from being taken. Lethal again takes the fight. Can't win the engagement though. Gilkey, 32 kills now. Just needs to try and stay alive so this flag can be touched, but Sentinels are starting to set up around it. Flag will get touched, so it's still alive for G2. Sentinels desperately trying to just stop G2 from spawning and being able to grab it, but it looks like finally Sentinels have done enough. Sab, the last member to go down. Flag does get returned, and it all stemmed from those initial kills from Lethal with the grenades.
He's gotten a few very important kills in this overtime. He only has 16 to his name, but let me tell you, some of those kills have brought maximum value. 3 minutes and 20, just under on the clock now. Overshield will be up very shortly. 10 seconds now, to be exact. Straight Stick trying to fire out of his treehouse. Gilkey positioned right underneath Royal 2 here. Needs help from a teammate. And in the end it comes. Royal 2 gets another. Barcode waiting on Overshield. He goes down. Sabonator goes down. This is the opportunity. All 4 down. And Royal 2's got grapple. He's pushing the base.
What kind of spawn are they going to get? One on thruster. Gilkey spawns alone. That means the others are going to be spawning down low over towards the Bulldog. And instantly you can see the flood comes through from Sentinels. They recognize where those spawns are going to be, and I love it. They do it again. They run towards the spawners on purpose because they know they have the number advantage. They take down 2. Gilkey spawns again, will run through bottom middle. Does have rockets, but goes down. Is this going to be the last final cap of this series?
They have number advantage. They have shield advantage. And Frosty escorts this flag all the way home expertly and gets a triple kill. The Snowman not showing no signs of melting. It's a 3-0 clean sweep.
Business as usual for Sentinels. G2 made it hard in Bazaar, capture the flag, and did look far better in Game 3 than Game number 2. But I really did love that Astro listening we had with Sentinels, just to kind of give you an idea of where their mentals were at, how they were feeling about that Game 3. They were in cruise control. Yeah. They were leaning back in their chairs. There was not much care in the world, and then they were like, oh crap, we've got 2-0 down.
Yeah, try again.
And then you've just got Snakebite going, guys, there's a guy pulling the flag, and no one's telling me anything. Like, a very frustrating experience, but it's important, I think, for Sentinels to be able to recognize those situations, because they can't afford to have those slow starts against some of the bigger teams.
It did feel like they were sleepwalking. There was a little bit of lull in communications, maybe getting a little bit too comfortable, too complacent, and it's important that communication came. And it's even scarier to know that, okay, well, when they decided to turn that switch, when they turned that screw, they turned up because they got 2 flag caps without reply, and they went into overtime. And Lethal, I can't stand it enough. I can't explain it enough. Those kills were vital, that double kill on double doors.
Can't stress it enough.
That's the word I was
Maybe
looking
was
for.
the word that
This
you were
job's
going
hard,
for.
Dan.
It can imagine what it's like when your voice is going because of Ash being in the air as well. That doesn't really help out. But a 3-0 in favor of Sentinels. They will march on to the winners bracket semi-finals, where they will face the winner of Optic versus G1. And judging by how loud the arena is, I'm gonna presume that Optic are probably winning that one against G1 right now.
So, tail of the tape then. 3-0, the series score. Sentinels looking commanding, particularly in that game 2, when we talked about that was an opportunity for G2 to get themselves into it. Well, I'll tell you something. Sentinels made sure there was no hope or opportunity that was ever going to happen. And with Bizarre CTF being that little bit slower, an opportunity for G2 to get themselves back into the series, it's more telling to me that Sentinels didn't drop that game, because in Orlando, that's one of those ones they let slip away.